Ma'am, you want to give me some background?
Yes, sir. The paternity didn't come up, the issue in 2008. It came up in 1993. Prior to that, even before that, I don't know if it makes a difference, but we were not going to have this child. I asked him for his half for the termination. He didn't show up. So then I proceeded to say, I'm going to keep my child. And I did that. And he said from the beginning.
Let me say this, brothers. That's another issue that the so-called black men can resolve as well. People always talk about Black Lives Matter. Well, almost 15 million abortions have been performed on black fetuses, so-called black fetuses, since the early 70s. I guarantee you that dwarfs the amount of so-called Caucasian cops that have killed black men. That's what our people need to be concerned about. That's an entire army right there. 15 million fetuses. Let's just say that was 7.5 million boys who could have grown into men. That's an army right there for a lot of you so-called pro-blacks who claim that you're so pro-blackly black and we have to start this and form that. The first thing that you need to do is stop your liberal black women from having the heads cut off of your fetuses. And a lot of brothers need to stop inseminating these women and telling them to have the child or the fetus be aborted because they don't feel like raising it. That's a major issue. That's truly an example of quote-unquote Black Lives Mattering.
From the beginning, this wasn't his child. He didn't show up to the hospital. He didn't sign the birth certificate. He didn't come to the umbilical cord. My father did.
Well, he was smart to not sign the birth certificate, but he should have followed that up by having an immediate paternity test. But back in he don't seem too swift right now. So I can imagine back in 1993, I'm sure that he was not being asked to join Mensa.
30 days later, he came to my house with a roll of quarters. After my daughter got out of the hospital. And we were in my basement in Cleveland Heights on Sylvanhurst.
Who was that?
Said the man came with a roll of quarters. I guess maybe he said, this is for a lifetime supply of lollipops. You can go to the vending machine.
Was that to wash clothes?
I'm not sure what it was.
That's what Doyle said, is to wash the baby's clothes.
That was for her to go buy a pack of Kool-Aid so that she could dye her hair.
Clothes.
Well, fortunately, my parents had a washer and dryer, so I didn't need to go wash any clothes.
So what did happen?
I ended up moving out in 93. I had subsidized housing and I was on welfare.
Wait a minute, you had subsidized housing and you was on welfare, but you just finished bragging about how your parents had their own house and they had washing machine and all that, but they had you out there on the street like a $2 hoe. Interesting.
So the county, in order to recoup their funds, they wanted to establish child support so that they can get their money back.
Correct.
They set up child support 2 to 3 times. He never showed up while she was a toddler.
You reported him as the father?
Yes, sir, I did.
Obviously. And you gave the child his last name?
No, sir.
Oh.
So once again, brothers, this is all the plaintiff's fault. He had more than enough opportunities to prove paternity or disprove it. So I do not blame the female. It is not her fault. She's just playing her role, being an agent of chaos. It's up to the man to controvert that.
Okay. Why? Had he denied it?
Yes, from the whole time. Everyone in East Cleveland was saying,
he did say that.
Back is saying that's not his baby. You were messing around.
So everybody in Cleveland was basically notifying him that you're a $2 hoe. Okay, I got you.
And things of that nature. So he denied it from the very beginning after he didn't show up with his half of the termination fee.
Very clear that the plaintiff did not have anyone to truly enforce upon him how important it is for him to verify paternity, especially in light of the defendant's known behavior all across the entire city of Cleveland. I mean, shit, this broad might have slept with LeBron James back in the mid-90s. Who the hell knows?
He was saying back then.
Yes.
Right at the child's birth, during that time, he was alleging that you were messing with someone else.
Even prior to the birth, while I was pregnant.
Okay, he was saying that you...
So in other words, he knew that she was a hoe. Brothers, I say this shit all the time, man. Brothers got to stop taking these hoes so seriously. Cats got to really stop doing that shit, man. You cannot run up in a hole without any protection and then put your own life on the line, your own future on the line. Number one, by doing that. Number two, by not getting a paternity test. You have no idea how many people this broad done been with. And all that different semen and DNA floating around in her damn vaginal canal. Damn baby coming out looking like a damn golem. Who the hell knows? Got DNA from 50 different men in her vagina, man. Brothers have to start taking themselves much more seriously.
Saying that you were dealing with someone else.
Yes, which wasn't true. I was only dealing with him. He had
allegedly.
Doesn't it make sense that if he felt that way, perhaps that's why he was denying paternity?
Yeah, and I can understand that. That's why when
You can understand that because you know that you're a hoe.
the county set up paternity test, I expected him to show up.
All right.
And you're right about that. His dumb ass should have showed up.
All right, but the beginning of your testimony, you're giving the impression that he didn't fulfill his responsibilities.
Well, that is liberal female 101, especially liberal black female 101. It's to always, that's why I constantly state on this channel that my channel is not for the circular race talk. So I'm not concerned about Caucasians or people of other races that come on here trying to go back and forth about dumb shit. My channel is geared towards the so-called black man. It's also not for the circular gender war, because I know that that's what the vast majority of these liberal black females are about, and the vast majority of black females in general are liberal. So in order for us to get to the crux of the issue, we have to focus on who the target is. Who should I be targeting? I already know who that is. It's the so-called black man. Because in order for the so-called black man to figure out what he needs to do, he really has to isolate himself from all these other groups who are trying to maintain his confusion. Why is that? Because they're waxing fat off of your confusion, black man. You understand that, brother? They're waxing fat off of your confusion.
I'm sorry.
You said he didn't come around, he brought over quarters, he didn't miss. He's no good. He's a deadbeat from the beginning.
Yes.
Just horrible. Right. But then you say the whole community said
That you a hoe.
he felt, and rumor was, that you were sleeping with other guys. So it sounds like you would have understood he had a legitimate reason to question it.
Well, in order for her to understand, she would actually have to exhibit some form of empathy, which is not common amongst liberal females. It's really not. Really what's common amongst liberal females is sociopathy. And as you can see, that must be the new guy who's sitting there adjacent to her. I'm guessing that that's her new guy, which will often happen, I guess, in an attempt for her to show that she's moved forward.
Yes, I never
All
said.
right, so you weren't seeing anybody else during that time?
No, sir.
Okay.
When she says no, sir, in response to the question of whether or not she was seeing anybody else during that time, she means, oh, you mean on July 1st of 1993, right? Okay. Because on July 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I was seeing 4 different guys.
Okay. And you've paid how much in child support thus far?
Too much.
32 grand, 32,000.
$32,000 down the drain.
I still owe 11.
You paid
I paid
32?
32,000.
How old is the child?
25 tomorrow.
Okay. What does the child believe, though,
So you've been a dumbass for 25 years.
all these years?
That I'm a deadbeat, that I abandoned her, that I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, in her life, everything her mother had put in her head.
Never.
So that's what,
You don't think the child feels that way?
No, she feels that way about him, and it's not because I put that in her head. I never spoke bad about
Yeah, right.
him around my child. Never, ever.
Allegedly. It's amazing to me how these liberal females can get on TV and lie directly to the judge and lie directly into the camera. Why would the child believe that he's a deadbeat unless you put those thoughts into her head? If he's paid $32,000 over the course of 2 decades, where's she getting those thoughts from if it's not from you? Give me a break.